Howdy folks, Chief Meteorologist Nick Lilly here with a peek behind the scenes, a more detailed forecast as we head through the next couple of days. I know a lot of folks are curious just exactly what we're looking at in terms of the cold air, as well as the chances for precipitation, as well as what's coming down the pipe for Thanksgiving. Well, as of right now, we continue to see rain just kind of stream in and over the top of us from the southwest. I mentioned this over on Facebook, but this is a similar setup to what brought us all the snow back in last December. Except last December, when the cold air came swinging down from Canada, it totally overperformed, and it did so on top of overperforming moisture, on top of overperforming forcing. There's a lot of overperformances from what the models were suggesting, which is why it was kind of an underdone forecast in terms of our total precip. For this go-around, the cold air is not overperforming. The moisture, as you can see, is not overperforming either, and we don't have much in the way of forcing out there, so we're not expecting much in the way of snow. On top of that, it's just not cold through the column of the atmospheric column, the weather above us graphic here, kind of showcasing temperatures in the 40s at the surface, at the 40s up at around 4,400 feet. Still above freezing at about 10,000 feet. It isn't until we get up to about 15 to 18,000 feet that we get back down below freezing. That starts to change. We start to cool things down aloft as we head through tomorrow evening. But we're still talking about temperatures in the 30s, upper 30s and 40s below about 10,000 feet. And it isn't really until we get into the overnight hours and Thursday morning that we start to talk about temperatures cold enough to snow. But by this point, we're just out of moisture, unfortunately, for you snow lovers. And then we're finally at freezing down at the surface, but then we're above freezing up at 4,500 feet, so, or 4,400 feet. So, I mean, we end up in this situation where, and even this, it doesn't last long. We're back above freezing all the way up to 10,000 feet pretty quickly as we head through the day on Thursday. And by that point, we're definitely out of moisture. And again, unfortunately for you snow lovers, we still have a chance for a little bit of rain as we head through the overnight hours tonight. And here we are at about 1:30 in the morning with some rain out there. I think we'll hold on to this as we head through 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. But by this point, this next little system that's going to be squeezing through here really starts to shove stuff off to the east. Now, at this point in time, at about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, there may be enough lingering moisture in the lower levels. It's still going to be warm, but as the cold air comes in, swings in, and really starts to cool things down and dry things out, there may be some overlapping in there in the lower levels where there's still enough moisture and we're cold enough to squeeze out what's known as little ice crystals. Now, this isn't going to be snow, and it's probably going to look like cold mist, but it may float a little extra in the air versus regular rain. You may want to call it flurries or snow. Unfortunately, it's just not technically the same thing, but it might be kind of fun. It's not going to freeze on roads. It's not going to cause any travel concerns whatsoever across the area. But it may be kind of fun to see, I guess. We've seen this a handful of times over the last 4 or 5 years across the area in similar kind of situations where we get a couple of folks around the area get a brief bout of this. It's not going to stick to anything. It's not going to, get any kind of accumulation. It's just going to kind of be in the air. And the chances that you see this are down below 5%, but I suppose it's not a 0% chance. So for you folks that really are looking for it, there's your chance. I think by the time we get into Thursday morning, a couple clouds are left over. That's it. We clear things out as we head through the day on Thursday, and we're sunny by later in the day. Okay, looking a little further out, we're going to start things first with our little area of low pressure that's out here. This is the trough. Again, a ridge of high pressure, and again, a trough of low pressure back over a ridge of high pressure. And the troughs are where we usually have the weather. On this map, I always say find the yellow. That's where the action is in terms of the rain. It usually holds true. That area of low pressure swings by to our northwest. Now, historically, if we were in the right situation, getting a good southeast flow out ahead of this thing, we'd be talking about severe weather, but because it's so cold, we don't have to worry about that. Once we get through Thursday and into Friday, we go more zonal, which is basically a general west-east trend in terms of up at about 500 millibars. That's a relatively calm weather pattern for us. We're not going to see much around here on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I think by Monday we may get into some better chances for clouds, but that's about it. We've got a little bit of ridging out here and then another trough right there. and that next little area of low pressure is going to swing this direction. I think by the time we get toward Wednesday, we may be starting to open up the door across the area for maybe some extra clouds and outside chance for a shower. And the question remains, this little area of low pressure, does it track that way, or does it track that way, or does it track that way? Those three options give us three distinct different forecasts. And you can actually think of this a lot like these lines that I've drawn. Think of it like a protractor, right? So you've got, if you're making something kind of like that, the difference in the angle from there to there and there to there is pretty big. But that angle is much bigger way out here, and it's much smaller right here. You can think of that like the forecast. If you're at this point right here and you want to know what's the forecast this far out, well, the difference is only this big. If you want to know this far out, the difference could be this big. I mean, that's a pretty big difference. So again, if this thing goes to the north, we could be talking about more of a southerly flow, a little bit warmer on Thanksgiving, as well as a better chance for thunderstorms. If it goes further to the south, we cut off that southerly flow. We're on the north side of that, then it's just regular rain and it's a little bit cooler. And if it kind of splits the difference, well, then things get really interesting for us meteorologists to figure out what's going to happen. So far, on Thursday, it posts this thing just off to our west. The warm front would probably be kind of right in that ballpark, which means we would have enough of a southerly kick to get us probably back to around 70. Outside of that, we'll have to wait and see. Here's what the Futurecast suggests for our rain chances, and again, everything pushes off to our east for tomorrow. We're nice Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Remember how I said extra clouds on Monday? I suppose you can't rule out the possibility for a wayward shower. We're going with the 10% chance. By the time we get toward Wednesday, maybe a slightly better chance for some rain. And you can see what happens in here as we head through Thursday. The rain chances mainly stay to the south because the GFS says, hey, there's your warm front right there, so the southerly flow is all in here, and all the rain, as you saw, was just off to the south. Again, it's still far away, so we still have plenty of time to watch this and figure out what's going to happen. First things first, we got to get through the cold. Make sure you're protecting your plants and your pets for the cold as we head through the overnight hours the next couple of nights. Then we can focus on what's coming down the line as we look toward Thanksgiving.